There comes a time in every person's life when the soul grows restless, when the mind, weary from constant noise and futile pursuits, begins to ask a deeper question: who commands my destiny, my fleeting emotions, or my disciplined will? The majority of men and women you encounter in the streets are prisoners not of walls or iron chains, but of impulses, desires, fears, and passing moods. They are captives of their own untamed emotional world. They live as leaves in the wind, tossed by circumstance, swayed by the approval of others, shattered by criticism, inflated by praise, defeated by rejection. They have surrendered the throne of their own minds, and because they cannot master themselves, they never master life. Yet history, that stern and impartial teacher, has left us a record. The men and women who achieved greatness, who moved mountains and shifted empires, were not merely intelligent, they were disciplined. They were not merely dreamers, they were masters of their inner states. They had learned, through struggle, to detach from the trivial, to command their emotions, and to live from principle rather than reaction. Napoleon Bonaparte declared, "The strong man is he who can master his own will." Marcus Aurelius, writing in the solitude of his camp, reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But how is this mastery built? Not in grand gestures alone, not in the heat of a single decision, but in the quiet, invisible discipline of daily habits. Success, like failure, is never an accident. It is the accumulation of repeated choices, the invisible architecture of thought and action that builds a destiny brick by brick. And so today I will reveal to you 5 daily habits, not suggestions, not vague inspirations, but habits forged in the crucible of timeless success principles that, if practiced with fidelity, will render you immune to defeat, indomitable in will, and unstoppable in the pursuit of what others call impossible. First, let us consider the foundation: definiteness of purpose. Without a chief aim, without a clearly defined purpose to which your mind clings as a compass clings to the North Star, you will wander in confusion. Emotional detachment begins here, for when the mind is consumed by purpose, it no longer bows before petty irritations or fleeting doubts. A man with a purpose cannot be enslaved by gossip, envy, or insult, because his eyes are fixed on the summit. Ask yourself daily, what is my definite chief aim? Write it, speak it, affirm it. Imprint it upon your subconscious mind until it becomes your ruling obsession. For without a purpose, discipline has no direction and detachment has no anchor. Second, engrave upon your mind the discipline of mental stillness. The world clamors for your reaction. Every headline, every insult, every whisper demands that you respond, and in responding you forfeit your control. But there is a law. He who reacts in haste becomes the servant of circumstance. He who responds with calm becomes its master. Each morning, train yourself to sit in silence even for 5 minutes. Breathe. Detach. Watch your thoughts as a general surveys his troops. Do not chase them. Do not fear them. Observe them, and in the act of observation, you will discover that you are not your thoughts, you are their commander. In time, this stillness will give birth to mastery, and from mastery to power. Third, bind yourself to the principle of autosuggestion. The mind is clay, and words are the sculptor's hands. If you do not consciously suggest to your subconscious the thoughts you wish to govern your life, the world will gladly do it for you, filling your inner world with fear, doubt, and limitation. Therefore, each day, speak aloud affirmations of strength, detachment, discipline, and victory. Say to yourself, I am master of my emotions. I am calm under pressure. I am guided by purpose. I think accurately. I act with discipline. My destiny is mine to command. Repeat them until your subconscious accepts them as law, until they sink so deeply into your being that when life strikes you with unexpected storms, your instinctive reaction will be strength, not weakness, clarity, not confusion. Fourth, cultivate accurate thinking. This principle, though often overlooked, is the dividing line between mediocrity and greatness. Emotional chaos is born of distorted thinking, believing lies, exaggerations, fears, and illusions. To detach emotionally, you must discipline your mind to separate fact from opinion, truth from rumor, reality from imagination. Each evening, reflect upon the events of your day. Ask yourself, what are the facts? What assumptions have I made? What emotions distorted my perception? Correct them, for if you do not discipline your thoughts will deceive you, and no man can lead a victorious life while deceived by his own mind. Fifth, and perhaps most vital, is the daily practice of self-command through action. Detachment is not passive indifference. It is active sovereignty. It is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of feeling. Each day, give yourself one command that you would rather resist rise earlier. Complete a difficult task, deny yourself an unnecessary indulgence, and then obey it without hesitation. This simple habit trains your will to command and your body to obey. It forges the invisible chain of discipline that, link by link, transforms you from a creature of impulse into a creator of destiny. Understand this: success is not reserved for the gifted, nor is mastery the inheritance of the fortunate. It is the rightful possession of all who dare to govern themselves. The man who conquers his emotions, who disciplines his thoughts, who commands his actions, becomes invincible not because life ceases to test him, but because he has ceased to be shaken by life. The world will tempt you with comfort, with distraction, with the false belief that you may drift and still arrive. But drifting is the path of the weak. The strong choose direction. They say to themselves, I will detach from all that weakens me. I will discipline all that strengthens me. I will think, act, and live with purpose until the impossible becomes my reality. And so, as you rise each day, bind yourself to these 5 habits. Anchor yourself in definiteness of purpose. Cultivate mental stillness. Wield auto-suggestion. Sharpen accurate thinking. And practice daily self-command. Do this, and you will no longer be swayed by moods, enslaved by doubts, or crippled by fear. You will have mastered the rare art of emotional detachment, built an unbreakable fortress of mental discipline, and taken possession of the one kingdom that determines all others, your inner world. From that throne of mastery, you will speak, act, and live with a force so great that men will call it destiny. Yet you will know the truth. It was not fate, but discipline. Not chance, but choice. Not emotion, but mastery. To understand the first habit, definiteness of purpose, you must recognize a profound truth. No man or woman can serve 2 masters. The mind that divides itself among conflicting aims, that pursues one desire today and another tomorrow, is condemned to weakness, indecision, and failure. Purpose is not a suggestion, it is the law of direction. Without it, the ship drifts, and the drifting ship does not merely fail to reach a harbor. It is eventually broken upon the rocks. When you bind yourself to a definite purpose, you are not merely choosing a goal, you are choosing your very identity. You are saying to the world, and more importantly to your subconscious mind, this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is the mountain I shall climb. And once that identity is etched into the mind, every action, every thought, every habit must either align with it or perish. But here is the obstacle. Emotions, left uncontrolled, scatter your forces and rob you of your purpose. Anger distracts you, fear paralyzes you, envy poisons you, doubt corrodes you. If you live in reaction to these emotions, you will abandon your purpose at the very first sign of resistance. You will surrender your dream to appease criticism or discard your aim in the heat of frustration. Thus, emotional detachment is not a luxury, it is the shield of the purposeful. It is the discipline of saying, my aim is fixed, my emotions are fleeting, I will obey the aim, not the mood. The man who lives by purpose becomes immune to insult, for insult does not alter his aim. He becomes immune to praise, for praise does not complete his work. He becomes immune to fear, for fear cannot derail his mission. His detachment is not cold indifference, but fiery devotion to something higher than impulse. He has chosen to live for a cause, not for a comfort. Every morning, ask yourself, what is the single aim for which I will sacrifice, labor, and endure? Write it until your hand aches. Speak it until your voice grows steady with conviction. See it until your mind accepts it as reality. And when emotion rises to lead you astray, detach yourself and say, you may stir me, but you cannot rule me. My purpose is my ruler, my will is its servant, and my life will obey. Consider the builders of empires, the creators of industry, the inventors of great works. They were not always the most intelligent, nor the most talented, but they were the most single-minded. They detached from distractions, they refused to dilute their energies, and they disciplined their minds to return again and again to their definite aim. Andrew Carnegie once declared, "The man who can concentrate all his energy on one purpose is the man who succeeds." Definiteness of purpose is not merely a principle of success, it is the foundation of mental peace. For the man without purpose is always restless, always torn between paths, always enslaved to the whims of mood and circumstance. He is forever chasing novelty, seeking approval, running from pain. But the man with purpose has no need to chase or to flee. He has direction, he has chosen his path, and every step is progress, whether in ease or difficulty. Emotional detachment protects purpose by silencing the noise. The world will call you foolish, reckless, obsessed. Let them. Detach. For the man who bends to every voice never builds his own. The world will tempt you with easier paths, with fleeting pleasures, with false securities. Detach. For the man who sells his purpose for comfort buys his own mediocrity. The world will test you with failure, setbacks, and storms. Detach. For the man who abandons purpose in the storm never lives to see the Sunday. Definiteness of purpose, therefore, is not merely a daily habit. It is the governing principle from which all habits flow. To master positive thinking, to discipline your mind, to command your inner world, you must first decide what you exist to accomplish. That decision is your crown. Guard it with detachment. Protect it with discipline, feed it with faith, and when doubt whispers, reply with steel, "I know what I have chosen, I know what I will achieve, and nothing beneath heaven can deter me." From purpose flows discipline, from discipline flows mastery, from mastery flows success. And the key that unlocks this chain is detachment, the refusal to allow fleeting emotions to dethrone your chosen aim. The average man lives in constant reaction like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. His peace is shattered by a single word of insult, his energy scattered by the flood of trivial news, his will diluted by endless distractions. He has no center. He is like a spinning wheel without an axle, whirling itself into exhaustion. The tragedy is not that he lacks talent nor that he lacks opportunity, but that he lacks command over his own state. And the first step toward command is stillness. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is power. The ocean may rage with waves on the surface, but its depths remain calm, immovable, undisturbed. The man who cultivates mental stillness becomes like that ocean. Though the surface of his life may be disturbed by storms, his depth remains anchored. And it is from that depth that true strength emerges. Every morning you must claim a portion of silence, not the silence of passivity, but the silence of sovereignty. Sit, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and refuse to be enslaved by the noise of the world. In that silence, you will discover something revolutionary. Your thoughts are not you, they are your servants. You may command them, dismiss them, arrange them, but you need not be ruled by them. This discovery is the beginning of detachment, and detachment is the beginning of mastery. The one who cannot sit alone with his thoughts for 5 minutes cannot expect to direct his life for 5 decades. The one who cannot silence his inner chaos will always be a slave to outer chaos. Therefore, practice stillness daily. Begin with minutes, extend to longer periods, but never abandon it. For this daily habit is the training ground of kings. Consider the words of James Allen. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. This calmness is not inherited, it is built. It is forged in daily acts of detachment, in the refusal to be provoked, in the conscious decision to remain unmoved while the world seeks to stir you. The man who masters calmness is not fragile. He is unbreakable. He may bend, but he does not snap. He may feel, but he does not collapse. His stillness becomes his fortress, and from that fortress he governs his destiny. Mental stillness also sharpens your power of decision. In haste, the mind errs. In agitation, the mind exaggerates. In fear, the mind distorts. But in calmness, the mind perceives accurately. And accurate perception is the root of accurate action. This is why generals retreat to silence before commanding armies, why inventors retreat to solitude before conceiving great discoveries, why leaders withdraw into reflection before making decisions that shape nations. The habit of stillness is not weakness, it is supreme strength, for it grants clarity where others stumble in confusion. The practice is simple, yet its reward is immeasurable. Each morning, before the demands of the world press upon you, sit still, breathe, observe, detach. Train your mind to be unmoved by the parade of thoughts. Watch them pass as a king watches subjects file before him. In that observation, you reclaim your throne. And when you rise, you carry that stillness with you into the battlefield of life. Insults will strike you but not wound you. Praises will reach you but not inflate you. Problems will confront you but not conquer you, for you have learned the art of remaining calm. Understand this law. Reaction is weakness. Response is strength. Reaction is slavery. Response is mastery. The man who reacts is owned by others. The man who responds owns himself. And the bridge between reaction and response is stillness, the pause, the breath, the moment of command in which you choose not to be a victim of emotion but a master of decision. When you practice stillness daily, your very presence changes. Others will feel your calmness and respect it, though they may not understand it. Your enemies will be unsettled, for they cannot provoke you. Your allies will be strengthened, for your calm will become their anchor. Your own spirit will expand, for stillness is the seedbed of faith, courage, and vision. Therefore, bind yourself to this daily habit. Withdraw into silence. Practice calmness. Guard your center as a warrior guards his sword, for when storms arise, and they will, you will not be swept away. You will stand unmoved, unshaken, unbroken, and from that stillness, you will act with precision, power, and unstoppable effectiveness. The mind is not a passive vessel. It is an engine, a furnace, a workshop of creation. It is constantly shaping, molding, and constructing the conditions of your life. The tragedy of most men is not that they lack imagination, nor that they lack willpower, but that they allow the world to dictate the blueprints of their minds. They listen to fear, they absorb doubt, they repeat words of weakness until weakness becomes law within them. They live as victims of suggestion from society, from family, from critics, from their own undisciplined emotions. But suggestion cuts both ways. The same law that enslaves the careless liberates the deliberate. If you would be master of your life, you must seize this law and wield it with purpose. You must become the architect of your own subconscious by daily practice of autosuggestion. What is autosuggestion? It is the conscious, deliberate repetition of thoughts, phrases, and affirmations until they sink so deeply into the subconscious that they govern instinct, reaction, and destiny. You must understand that your subconscious mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seed you plant, it will grow. Plant doubt, reap limitation. Plant fear, reap paralysis. Plant faith, confidence, determination, and calm, and you will reap power, resilience, and victory. The soil does not discriminate. It accepts whatever is sown. Therefore, you must guard it fiercely and sow with intent. Each day, speak aloud words of power, not vague wishes, not sentimental daydreams, but definite affirmations aligned with your purpose. If your aim is wealth, speak wealth into your subconscious. If your aim is calmness, speak calmness. If your aim is mastery over emotion, affirm daily, I am master of my emotions. I think accurately. I act with discipline. I am calm under pressure. My destiny is mine to command. Repeat these until they are no longer merely words you speak, but truths you embody. Understand this law of the subconscious. It cannot distinguish between reality and vivid imagination. If you impress upon it a vision of strength, discipline, and victory, it will accept it as fact and begin to arrange your actions, your habits, and even your perception of opportunities to align with it. You become what you repeat. You live what you affirm. You inherit what you impress. Critics will mock this principle, for they do not understand its power. They believe themselves rational, yet their lives are ruled by unconscious programming. From childhood, they were told what was possible, what was impossible, what they could become, what they could not. Those words became autosuggestions, planted unconsciously, accepted blindly, repeated habitually until they became chains. They do not mock the principle. They are proof of it. Their lives testify to the power of repeated suggestion, though they know it not. Therefore, you must reverse the process. You must uproot the weeds of doubt, plant the seeds of mastery, and water them daily with repetition. Speak your affirmations in the morning, when your mind is fresh and receptive. Speak them at night, when your subconscious is open and impressionable. Write them down, see them, feel them, live them until they live you. But let me be clear, autosuggestion is not magic. It does not replace effort, it directs it. It does not excuse discipline, it strengthens it. It does not grant success to the idle. It aligns the mind so that effort is multiplied, discipline is sustained, and purpose is magnified. Without autosuggestion, effort scatters. With autosuggestion, effort concentrates. And concentrated effort is the spear that pierces impossibility. Napoleon Hill declared, "You are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because you have the power to control your own thoughts." Autosuggestion is the steering wheel of that power. It directs the ship of your mind toward the harbor you have chosen. Without it, you drift. With it, you sail with certainty. Make no mistake, autosuggestion requires detachment. For as you speak affirmations of strength, doubt will whisper, "It is not true." Fear will mock, "You are deceiving yourself." Emotion will cry, "You are not yet what you claim." Detach. Observe the voices without obeying them. Continue to affirm, continue to plant, continue to impress. For the law of the mind is faithful. What you persistently sow, you must inevitably reap. This daily habit, though invisible to the eyes of the careless, is the very mechanism by which the impossible is made possible. Speak your destiny until your subconscious believes it. Believe it until your actions reflect it, and act upon it until the world bows before it. The man who cannot think accurately is like a blind archer loosing arrows into the dark. He may fire with great energy, with passion, with enthusiasm, yet his arrows never strike the mark, for he does not see. The majority of men fail not because they lack effort, but because they misdirect it. They act on false assumptions, distorted perceptions, and emotional exaggerations. They confuse rumor with fact, opinion with truth, appearance with reality, and so their lives are wasted in pursuit of illusions. Accurate thinking is the power to see things as they are, not as fear paints them, not as desire distorts them, not as society declares them, but as truth reveals them. This is no small task, for the mind is easily deceived. Fear inflates shadows into monsters. Desire blinds us to consequences. Pride bends facts to preserve ego. But the man who disciplines himself to think accurately cuts through illusion with the sword of reason. He refuses to be governed by what others claim, by what emotions scream, by what impulse suggests. He demands evidence. He separates essentials from non-essentials. He distinguishes between what is known and what is assumed. Napoleon Hill taught, accurate thought involves two fundamentals. First, separating facts from mere information. Second, separating facts into two classes, important and unimportant. The careless mind swallows information whole, like a starving man devouring whatever is placed before him, never asking whether it nourishes or poisons. The disciplined mind sifts, questions, and evaluates. It digests only what strengthens, discards what weakens, and arranges the rest according to value. Accurate thinking is impossible without emotional detachment. A man attached to his emotions will twist facts to protect his pride. He will believe lies that flatter him and reject truths that humble him. He will inflate the importance of trivialities because they serve his ego and ignore vital realities because they discomfort his spirit. But the detached man, though he feels emotion, does not let emotion cloud his judgment. He looks at the facts with calmness, weighs them with reason, and acts upon them with clarity. To cultivate accurate thinking, you must daily examine your thoughts. Ask yourself, is this fact or opinion? Is this truth or rumor? Is this essential or trivial? Is this conclusion born of reason or born of fear, anger, or desire? Write your answers. Correct your errors. Train your mind to bow to truth, not to emotion. Over time, this habit will sharpen your judgment until it becomes a sword no falsehood can withstand. Consider how many lives are ruined by inaccurate thinking. A man hears criticism and assumes it proves his failure. In truth, criticism often means progress, for no one criticizes what does not matter. A woman faces one rejection and concludes she is unworthy. In truth, rejection is but redirection. A youth attempts once, fails, and assumes he can never succeed. In truth, failure is only feedback. In each case, the fact was simple, but emotion distorted it into a false conclusion. Thus, the power of accurate thinking is not merely intellectual, it is liberating. It frees you from the tyranny of false beliefs. Accurate thinking is also the foundation of confidence. For how can a man stand firm if he is not certain of the ground beneath him? But when you know the facts, when you have separated truth from illusion, your confidence is unshakable. Doubt may whisper, but you will silence it with clarity. Fear may knock, but you will answer with evidence. Accurate thinking gives you mastery over uncertainty, for it replaces confusion with knowledge. To practice this habit, take 10 minutes each evening to reflect upon your day. Review your decisions, your reactions, your judgments. Ask yourself, what facts did I accept without question? What assumptions guided me? What emotions colored my conclusions? Write the truth, however uncomfortable. Do not excuse yourself. Do not justify. For only the man who dares to see clearly can dare to live greatly. Remember this law. Inaccurate thinking enslaves, accurate thinking liberates. Inaccuracy leads to wasted energy, broken plans, and shattered dreams. Accuracy leads to efficient effort, wise decisions, and inevitable victory. Train your mind, therefore, to think with precision, and you will no longer stumble in darkness. You will walk in light, guided not by impulse, but by truth. A man may have purpose, but if he does not act, his purpose is nothing more than a shadow upon the wall. He may cultivate stillness, but if stillness never gives birth to movement, it is wasted calm. He may repeat affirmations through autosuggestion, but if they do not compel him into labor, they are idle words. He may think accurately, but if his thinking never translates into execution, his clarity is fruitless. All mastery, all success, all greatness converges upon this point: action. Self-command is the discipline of giving yourself an order and obeying it. It is the bridge between thought and reality, between desire and result, between possibility and fact. Without self-command, you live as a slave to moods, impulses, and whims. With it, you become a sovereign, a ruler of your life. Reflect on this truth. Every man gives commands to himself daily. Rise early or sleep longer. Work diligently or postpone. Confront the task or evade it. Each choice is a command. And the tragedy of the undisciplined is that they issue noble commands but disobey them. They say, I will begin today, yet they delay until tomorrow. They say, I will endure this hardship. Yet they surrender at the first discomfort. In time, the subconscious learns that their words carry no authority. Their will is weakened, their spirit grows doubtful, their life becomes a pattern of broken promises to self. But the disciplined man, the man of self-command, makes no idle promises. When he commands himself, he obeys. If he declares, I shall rise at dawn, he rises. If he orders, I shall complete this task, he completes it. If he resolves, I shall deny myself this indulgence, he denies it. And each act of obedience, though invisible to the world, forges an inner chain of strength. In time, his subconscious recognizes his words as law, and his will becomes irresistible. This habit need not begin with great acts. Start with the small. Command yourself to perform one act daily that you would rather resist, be it waking earlier, exercising discipline over appetite, finishing a neglected task, or withholding an unnecessary indulgence. Obey without hesitation. The act itself may be small, but the principle is great. Each small victory is a brick in the fortress of self-command, and when greater battles come, you will stand prepared. Remember, it is not difficulty that breaks a man, but the habit of disobedience to himself. A man who fails to keep his own word cannot expect the world to keep faith with him. A man who betrays his own command cannot expect others to trust his leadership. Self-command is integrity with oneself, and integrity is the foundation of influence, respect, and power. Detachment strengthens this habit, for when you command yourself, emotion will protest. Comfort will whisper, do it later. Fear will cry, it is too much. Desire will beg, indulge just this once. Detach. Observe the voices, refuse to obey them, and act according to command, not emotion. In this way, you elevate yourself above the level of impulse and live as a creator, not a creature. Understand also that self-command builds momentum. Each obedient act strengthens the will, and each act of weakness weakens it. Success and failure are not events, they are accumulated habits. The man who commands himself daily cannot help but rise, for his every act is a step forward. The man who disobeys himself cannot help but sink, for his every act is a step backward. Destiny is nothing more than the sum of these steps. Therefore, make this your habit. Command yourself daily and obey. Refuse to betray your own word. Live by discipline, not by mood. For he who commands himself cannot be commanded by others, and he who rules his inner world cannot be defeated in the outer. Self-command is the seal upon the other habits. Definiteness of purpose gives direction. Mental stillness gives clarity. Autosuggestion gives belief. Accurate thinking gives truth, but self-command gives life to them all. It is the fire that animates, the hand that moves, the will that makes real. Without it, all else collapses. With it, all else flourishes. Examine now what we have laid. 5 habits, distinct yet inseparable. They are not scattered truths, but links in a single chain. Break one, and the chain is useless. Forge them all, and nothing beneath heaven can restrain you. Definiteness of purpose is the compass. Without it, you wander. With it, you march. It directs your energy, focuses your mind, and elevates you above distraction. But purpose alone is not enough for the man who knows his aim, but cannot master his emotions, will abandon it in despair. Hence, mental stillness is the shield, protecting purpose from the chaos of feeling, giving clarity where confusion seeks to reign. Yet stillness without belief is a barren calm. Therefore, autosuggestion breathes faith into purpose, engraving upon the subconscious the certainty of victory. But faith without truth is delusion, so you must sharpen it with accurate thinking, cutting through illusion, separating fact from fancy, ensuring your steps do not lead you into error. And finally, thought. No matter how accurate belief, no matter how strong purpose, no matter how great, must be translated into reality through self-command in action. Purpose is the aim. Stillness is the shield. Autosuggestion is the fuel. Accurate thinking is the map. Self-command is the march. Together they form the law of mastery, the code of those destined to achieve the impossible. But let me press this deeper. Emotional detachment is the hidden current running through them all. For without detachment, purpose bends before the opinions of others. Without detachment, stillness shatters under insult. Without detachment, autosuggestion is undone by doubt. Without detachment, accurate thinking is corrupted by desire. Without detachment, self-command is broken by weakness. Detachment, therefore, is not indifference, it is sovereignty. It is the refusal to surrender your throne, to fear, to anger, to temptation, to pride. It is the quiet voice within that says, I see you, emotion, but I do not obey you. I am master, you are servant. Now let us lift this truth higher. Every great achievement in history was built by men and women who practiced these laws, whether they named them or not. The generals who held steady when armies trembled, the inventors who persisted when failures multiplied, the leaders who remained calm while nations panicked, all were practitioners of these habits. Their detachment was their armor, their discipline was their sword, their purpose was their banner. And with these, they achieved what others declared impossible. Consider for a moment your own life. How often have you been ruled by emotion, angered into folly, frightened into retreat, comforted into delay, flattered into pride, saddened into paralysis? Each time you surrendered, you handed over the keys of your destiny. Each time you reacted, you stepped away from mastery. But from this moment, the law is revealed. You need not remain a servant. You may rise if you dare and seize command. And what is mastery, if not command of self? He who commands himself commands time, for he wastes none. He who commands himself commands opportunity, for he sees clearly and acts swiftly. He who commands himself commands respect, for others bow to the man who bows to none but truth. And he who commands himself commands destiny, for destiny is nothing more than the sum of daily choices, and choices obey the will of their master. Let the careless live as creatures of impulse, swayed by the hour, ruled by the mood. Let them drift, let them surrender, Let them complain of fate, but not you. You have been called to a higher law. You have heard the code of the disciplined, the creed of the masters, the oath of those who achieve the impossible. You must live it daily, habit upon habit, act upon act, until it becomes your nature. Rise each day with your purpose burning in your mind. Enter silence and command your thoughts. Speak to your subconscious with words of strength until it bends to your will. Think with accuracy, undeceived by emotion. Give yourself commands and obey them without hesitation. Do this not once, not occasionally, but daily, until you are transformed from within, until discipline is no longer effort but instinct, until mastery is no longer pursuit but identity. Hear this law and etch it upon your soul. If you command your thoughts, you command your emotions. If you command your emotions, you command your actions. If you command your actions, you command your results. And if you command your results, you command your destiny. This is the royal chain of cause and effect, the invisible crown of the disciplined, the secret that separates the strong from the weak, the victors from the defeated, the masters from the slaves. The time has come to choose. Will you remain as you are tossed by moods, enslaved by impulses, deceived by illusions, a prisoner of self-betrayal? Or will you rise? Forge these 5 habits into your life, detach from weakness and command the fullness of your power. The decision is yours alone, and by it, your destiny is decided. Choose purpose over drift. Choose stillness over reaction. Choose auto-suggestion over doubt. Choose accurate thinking over illusion. Choose self-command over self-betrayal. Choose discipline over weakness. Choose mastery over slavery. Choose greatness over mediocrity. Choose the impossible and make it real. And when the world beholds what you have built, they will marvel and call it destiny. But you will know the truth. It was not destiny, but discipline. Not fate, but faith. Not emotion, but mastery. Hear me now, for this is the closing law. No man is defeated until he accepts defeat in his own mind. No obstacle is final until you surrender your will. No limit is real until you believe it. The chains that hold humanity are forged not of iron, but of thought, and the key that breaks them is forged in the fire of discipline. Do not wait for the world to grant you permission, for it never will. Do not wait for circumstances to align, for they never will. Do not wait for perfect conditions, for they are a mirage. The only condition you need is the one within you, the decision to master yourself, here and now, with unshakable resolve. When you rise tomorrow, rise not as a creature of habit, but as a creator of destiny. Write your purpose in words of fire. Enter your stillness as a king enters his court. Speak to your subconscious as a commander speaks to his army. Think with accuracy as a judge weighs evidence, and act with self-command as a warrior obeys his oath. Let no hour pass without discipline. Let no day end without progress. Let no emotion rule that is not first ruled by you. The world does not need more dreamers. It needs more masters of self. It does not need more talkers. It needs more doers. It does not need more reactors. It needs more rulers of their inner kingdoms. Be that ruler. Take the crown of your mind and wear it with honor. Refuse the slavery of impulse, the weakness of drift, the bondage of fear. Detach yourself, rise above, and walk as one who commands life itself. And when they ask you, when the doubters, the fearful, the drifting masses ask you, how did you achieve the impossible? You will answer with calmness, with certainty, with power. I mastered my thoughts. I disciplined my mind. I detached from weakness. I commanded myself daily, and by doing so, I commanded my destiny. This is the law. This is the path. This is the crown reserved, not for the many, but for the few who dare. Take it, live it, become it, and the impossible will bow before you. Do not think, even for a moment, that the principles we have unfolded exist in the realm of theory alone. They are laws as fixed as gravity, as binding as the rising of the sun. You obey them consciously and rise, or you neglect them unconsciously and fall. There is no middle path. Nature respects no excuses. She yields to the disciplined and crushes the undisciplined beneath the weight of their own indulgence. Every weakness in your life can be traced to a failure in one of these habits. Where you lack direction, it is because you have abandoned definiteness of purpose. Where you feel restless and reactive, it is because you have forsaken mental stillness. Where you believe in limitation, it is because you have neglected autosuggestion. Where you stumble into error, it is because you have failed to practice accurate thinking. Where you delay, hesitate, or collapse, it is because you have betrayed self-command. The chain of weakness is not mystery, it is violation of law. And the chain of strength is not accident, it is obedience to law. History bears witness. Men of little schooling have risen to wealth because they mastered purpose, discipline, and thought. Men of great talent have perished in obscurity because they surrendered to emotion, drift, and impulse. The law is impartial. It does not favor genius over discipline. It does not favor brilliance over obedience. It rewards the man who masters himself. Examine the builders of empire: Caesar crossing the Rubicon, Washington enduring the winter at Valley Forge, Lincoln standing firm while the nation tore itself apart. Did they succeed by emotion? No. Emotion would have broken them. They succeeded by calmness, by clarity, by detachment from despair, by discipline that refused to yield. Their victories were not accidents of history. They were the result of inner mastery, lived daily, until destiny itself bent to their will. Look also to industry. Carnegie, Rockefeller, Ford, men who were not born with crowns but forged them, each began with definiteness of purpose. Each practiced autosuggestion until their belief became unshakable. Each thought accurately, cutting through illusion to see opportunity where others saw impossibility. Each commanded themselves daily, working, laboring, striving with discipline until their empires stood unmovable. And when critics mocked, when competitors schemed, when storms rose, they remained calm. They detached, they endured, and the world was reshaped by their will. Now turn inward, for this is not a history lesson but a mirror. You too stand at the threshold of mastery or mediocrity. The question is not whether the law works, the question is whether you will work the law. The seeds of greatness are already within you, but they must be cultivated with purpose, watered with faith, guarded by stillness, pruned by accuracy, and strengthened by daily acts of command. Without this, they rot in the soil. With this, they rise into towering oaks that no storm can uproot. Do not wait until you feel ready. Readiness is a deception of emotion. You are ready the moment you decide. The moment you say to yourself, "From this day, I command my mind. From this day, I discipline my emotions. From this day, I live by purpose, not by impulse." That moment marks the death of weakness and the birth of mastery. That moment is the turning point of destiny. And understand this: mastery is not achieved in a single grand gesture, but in the quiet obedience of daily habit. The mountain is climbed step by step. The fortress is built brick by brick. The kingdom is conquered decision by decision. Each day you practice these 5 habits, you are engraving upon your soul the character of a master. Each day you betray them, you are engraving upon your soul the character of a slave. The choice is yours, and you cannot escape it. You may deceive others, but you cannot deceive your subconscious. It knows whether you are true to your commands. It knows whether your affirmations are backed by action or hollow words. It knows whether you sit in stillness with sincerity or in pretense. It knows whether your thoughts are accurate or clouded. And it will reward you or punish you accordingly, for the subconscious is not sentimental, it is exact. It obeys the law of repetition and belief, whether for your success or for your ruin. Therefore, let today be the day you draw a line in the sand. Behind you lies drift, weakness, reaction, self-betrayal. Before you lies purpose, calmness, faith, clarity, command. Step forward and never look back. Build the habits into iron routines until they become part of your nature. Refuse excuses, reject hesitation, detach from emotion, and live as one who knows his destiny is self-created. For the truth remains eternal. If you master yourself, nothing can master you. If you command your inner world, the outer world must bend. If you live these 5 habits daily, the impossible will cease to be a barrier and will instead become your stage. And when the world beholds what you have built, they will marvel. But you will know it was no miracle, no accident, no favor of fate. It was law, lived daily, with discipline, until mastery was inevitable.